Welcome back. We are in week 7, and in the previous sessions, we have already discussed cybersecurity principles and different types of cyber attack. We have gone through the concepts of security threats, viruses, and malwares. In the previous sessions, we also have discussed what is cyber hygiene, and also we have discussed cyberbullying and nitty-gritties. So now let's go to our last topic in this week, which is PC, mobile, and PDAs security. So security across various types of personal digital devices such as PCs, mobile phones, and other personal digital assistants is crucial to protecting personal data, maintaining privacy, and preventing unauthorized access. So each devices have a different types of security challenges and requirements, and understanding these can help in implementing the effective security measures. Now let's discuss security measures related to our personal computers. So personal computers encompassing both desktop, laptops, they are the vital tools for work, communication, and entertainment. Ensuring their security is crucial to protect the operating system, applications, and data from a wide range of threats. So, regular update of the operating system to patch vulnerabilities and enhance the security features. So, as we have discussed in our previous sessions, all those important concepts related to computer security and cyber security. So we have to ensure that we are applying all those concepts when we are maintaining our computer systems or mobile devices or personal digital assistant devices. So when we update our operating systems, it basically patches the vulnerabilities and enhance the security features. So we have to implement some patch management strategy to track, prioritize, and apply updates across all the systems, ensuring that no critical updates are missed. So usually the built-in security tools such as firewalls, antivirus softwares are used to monitor and defend against the threat. So another aspect is to have and establish strong user account management practices, including creating unique username and strong passwords for each account to prevent unauthorized access. In the same way, conduct a regular audit of user account to identify and remove inactive or unnecessary accounts. This will reduce the attack surface. As we have discussed earlier, using and choosing the reliable antiviruses and anti-malware software from trusted vendors known for their effective detection and redemption capabilities when we are buying any antivirus or anti-malware software. So we have to always look for these important guidelines. And also we have to ensure that the installation process is complete and it is correctly installed. So we have to follow all the prompts and settings to configure the software for optimal protection. Real-time protection is the key. So we have to enable real-time protection features to monitor for malicious activities continuously, preventing threats before they can cause any harm. So setting up schedule scan, for example, maybe weekly, daily, to detect and remove the potential harmful malware infections and vulnerabilities is the key. So conducting the full system scan periodically to ensure all the files and the applications that are residing in your machines, they are thoroughly checked for any kind of malware is also one of the key to achieve the security in your computer systems. Also, we have to ensure that our virus definitions are up to date so that any new threats are easily being recognized and mitigated by these tools. Some more key security practices to protect our computer systems is to utilize the built-in firewall provided by the operating systems. So normally, every operating system has a firewall. So these firewalls are used to monitor and control the incoming and outgoing network traffic. So considering additional firewall software for enhanced protection, especially in the business environment, is also the key. Data backup and regular backing up of our system resources and data is also one of the key security practices. So regularly backup important data using the cloud storage or maybe some external drive to prevent the data loss from any hardware failure or some malware attack. And also we have to ensure that the backups are encrypted and they are also secured. When using online browsing activities, we have to ensure that we use the secure browsing features. So usually the browser extension that enhance the security, such as the blockers and anti-tracking tool can be used to enhance the PC security and secure browsing habit. And also we have to ensure that the websites that we are accessing are HTTPS so that the data that we normally transmitted, they are encrypted between our browser and the server. In the same way, we are familiar with different types of viruses that may affect the computer systems and its services. So these common threats should be well known to the users. So malware, phishing attack, unauthorized access, and data breach. So these are the common threats related to the computer systems, and the user of the computer system should be familiar with these concepts. Now we move to our next topic, mobile security essentials. So mobile devices, including smartphones, tablets, they are highly portable and often contain sensitive personal information, and making their security is the crucial. So data security technologies for mobile devices are critical, as these devices handle a variety of sensitive data, from personal identification and personal information to health data and location history. So we have to know some of the key mechanisms that are normally being used to protect the data and ensuring the secure communication. So let's discuss some of these key security mechanisms, like software security and isolation, the use of passcode and biometrics access, encrypting the disk and file, securing device hardware, and secure backup and cloud system. So let's discuss each of these key security mechanisms one by one. So modern smartphone operating system such as iOS and Android utilizes the sandboxing and application isolation to manage the data and safeguard against malicious app attempting unauthorized access. The main components including application sandboxing. So modern smartphone operating system create like a secure environment for each application through sandboxing. So this mechanism isolates apps within their own separate environment, ensuring they cannot access data or resources from some other applications or the core operating system. So this isolation means that if one app is compromised, it cannot affect the overall security of the device. In the same way, another security mechanism is app permission. So to protect the user's privacy, the operating system enforce some permissions model that requires app to seek explicit approval from the user before accessing some sensitive data such as the camera, location, or some contacts. So users receive some clear prompt allowing them to make an informed decision about which data to share with the app or which is not to share. In the same way, security hardening and root protection. So modern smartphone operating systems implement security hardening measures to block unauthorized changes to the critical files and kernel functions. So operating system like iOS and Android users, they can bypass these protection by jailbreaking in case of iOS, and for Android user, they may achieve similar access through routing. However, both process weakens the device security framework, exposing it to potential vulnerabilities and risk. Now let's discuss the another key security mechanism that protects the data is passcode and biometrics access. So access to the main user interface on smartphone is typically protected by passcodes and biometric authentication. So these are normally being designed to ensure that only authorized user can unlock and interact with the device. So some of the technologies that are being included here is the passcodes. So smartphones use passcodes which can be either alphanumerics or numerics to restrict the access. So these code can differ in complexity and length. With longer and more intricate code, it provides like more improved security. So biometric authentication is another key security mechanism. So devices such as iPhone and various Android models leverages the biometrics recognition methods, including like finger scanning or face recognition for authentication of the user. So this system utilizes specialized hardware like infrared sensors for face IDs or to verify a user identity. So while they provide a convenient yet secure way to access the devices, biometric data is normally stored in some secured hardware enclaves, safeguarding the data against any software-based attack. The other type of security key mechanism is the encryption and saving of the file in a more secured way. So encryption is essential for secure data on mobile devices, particularly to safeguard against unauthorized access in the event of maybe that the device is lost or the physical compromise by some attackers. So full disk encryption is being implemented at the operating system level, and it encrypts all the data stored at the device. For instance, Android provide file-based encryption, and in the same way, the iOS incorporate encryption for both like the entire disk or maybe the individual files that you want to encrypt. So this incorporate like comprehensive data protection against any theft or any attack. In the same way, file-based encryption enables individual files to be encrypted with distinct like keys, allowing for a greater control over the access and improved support for multi-user environment. In the case of Android, this method basically ensures that a specific data remains inaccessible until the user authentication following reboot, thereby adding additional layer of security. Encryption key derivation. Now this is another technique. So encryption keys are normally generated through a combination of user passcode and device embedded secrets, such as those stored in the secure enclave on some devices. So when we use these encryption key derivation, so this basically ensures a more powerful, reliable security mechanism, and it encrypts the data, effectively restricts access to unauthorized users only. So we have to ensure that the operating system that we are using in our mobile devices, they follow these key security mechanisms. Now let us discuss some more key security mechanisms these days are being followed by mobile devices. A secure boot is a security feature that enables device boot using only software that is trusted by manufacturer. So some of the key features are like verification of each component of the boot process against a known signature. In the same way, this approach of secure boot prevents the execution of unauthorized code during the boot sequence. So there is a lot of significance of having such security mechanism in the mobile devices. So for example, it protects the mobile devices and data against malware and unauthorized access from the startup phase. Another significant advantage is that it ensures the integrity of the operating system. Now, when we see about trusted execution environment, so trusted execution environment, so basically a secure area within a main processor that allow the execution of the code is normally isolated. So, so normally the area is being isolated. So if there is any ambiguous code or the code that has some malicious act, so we can protect execution of that code from the main operating system, because this trusted execution environment, basically the main processor allows the execution of this code in an isolated environment. So if there is any malicious code that are being executed, so it does not harm the main operating system. So some of the key feature is like it supports secure storage and processing of cryptographic like keys and personal data. It also enhances the security for applications that require like high assurance, such as like payment processing and digital right management. And it also facilitates secure communication and data protection in the cloud computing and IoT devices. Now the next key security mechanism is the secure device hardware. So modern smartphones incorporate like a secure coprocessor and a virtual security environment as the key like elements in strengthening the device security. So let's see like how this works. So secure coprocessors. So many smartphones, including Apple iPhone and Android and so on. So these devices, they have like a secure enclave, and In the same way, like Android operating system and devices, they utilizes the trusted execution environment. So, these secure enclaves incorporate the secure coprocessors that perform some critical functionality separately from the main processor. So, when we have such type of hardware support available, so we will have like several advantages, like secure storage of encryption key. So the coprocessor safeguard like sensitive encryption key and biometrics templates within the hardware isolated region, shielding them from like software based attack. In the same way, the biometric data normally required to be protected. So for like fingerprint and facial recognition and so on. So the coprocessor encrypts and store these biometrics data, ensuring they remain like inaccessible to the main operating system or the application. In the same way, the secure coprocessor also generates the key, and it normally helps the key generation and maintenance process. So coprocessor facilitate the generation and management of the encryption key, minimizing the risk of unauthorized access. Virtualized security environment. So modern mobile devices, they provide virtualized security environment. So virtualization technology separates like some sensitive operations from the main operating system by utilizing like virtual machines or isolated memory space. So for example, if you see like ARM, trust zone divides like the processor into secure and normal world, allowing secure operations such as encryptions and authentications so to take place in the environment that is protected from typical malware or software vulnerability. It's the key. Now, in the same way, secure device hardware mechanism is hardware-based security checks. So secure hardware environment implements secure boot process that verifies each layer of the software during the device startup sequence, preventing the load of unauthorized software. If any tampering is detected, the code basically or the device will either restrict the mode, or will go into the restrict mode, or may completely halt the boot process. So you can hopefully now understand that modern mobile devices has these key security mechanism through which they ensure that the data and the resources that we have is protected against the malicious attackers. Now let's try to discuss some more key security mechanism that needs to be applied to protect the mobile devices and protect our data. So end-to-end encrypted cloud backup is also one of the key. When we go for end-to-end encrypted cloud backup, so it provides like an extra layer of security by ensuring that only the user has the access to their data. So this is normally being achieved through user managed encryption keys and trusted hardware for secure key storage. So preventing unauthorized access even if the cloud provider is compromised. So real-time cloud services and synchronization. Normally the cloud-based applications on smartphones such as maybe iCloud or Google Drive. So these utilizes the encrypted connections typically through TLS. So this ensures that the data transfer and real-time updates between the devices is enabled. So with the end-to-end encryption, the data remains encrypted until it reaches an authenticated devices, and this will effectively preventing interception by attackers or unauthorized access. In the same way, provider inaccessibly encrypted system. So even the cloud service provider is not allowed to access the data or the resources of its client. So provider inaccessible encrypted system, which is also known as zero access encryption model. So it provides an additional layer of security by restricting access to the encrypted data, even for the cloud service providers. So this is crucial for sensitive data like health records or personal communications, etc. So by preventing the cloud provider also not able to access the confidential data. So how this is happened is by preventing the provider from accessing like the decryption key. So the risk of data breach and unauthorized access is significantly reduced in this case. So this approach offers like great control and peace of mind for the users, and making it an ideal solution for safeguarding sensitive information in the cloud. Now let's move to our discussion on the PDA, which stands for Personal Digital Assistant. So personal digital assistants, this is a type of device that are being very commonly used in the old days, but nowadays these devices are not very common. But we have modern like PDAs and smart devices and some wearable devices and IoT devices. So let's discuss how we can enable security in these modern devices. So basically the extensive use of these handheld devices introduce significant security risks for the organization, mainly because these devices along with their memory cards often contain some corporate or companies sensitive data, as well as some personal information such as maybe credit card, maybe some financial data, some legal matters, and so on. So these type of data is basically vulnerable, and these are normally being targeted by the cyber criminals. So the other important like factor is the remote resource access of these devices via maybe wire or wireless connections. So these type of devices are being normally used like also sometimes like a phone to communicate our messages, or maybe access corporate email. Also maybe sometimes we access some corporate network applications. So because of all these activities, these devices store these type of data also locally in these machines. So if we are not able to apply the security policies and cyber hygiene that we have discussed earlier, so these devices will be vulnerable, and because of that there will be high chance that unauthorized access or maybe some cyber criminal might use some vulnerabilities in your machine and access some confidential data. That will be possessing like a broader risk to organization's security. So again, when we look into like how we can secure these devices, so the basic idea or the concept is the same what we have discussed earlier while we discuss about the viruses and the how we can ensure that we have the controls against the viruses and the security threats. So we normally use the same set of controls and the concepts that we have discussed earlier. So when you want to ensure that your PDAs are secure, so there has to be some kind of security mechanism that you have to enable it. So let's discuss them. So device management, so implementing like robust management practices to monitor and control access to the PDAs within the organization is the key. So utilizing like mobile device management solutions to enforce security policies and manage configuration remotely. So operating system update, as we have discussed earlier, it's a key. So we have to ensure that the operating system is up to date, and we have to set up maybe some notification if there is any update available. We have to ensure that these updates are timely installed and configured in the machine. In the same way, the firmware update is also the key. So we have to routinely update and check for any the firmware that we are using, whether it's being updated, it has all the security features to protect the devices. In the same way, the use of secure methods while you are downloading or installing some program to prevent any malicious software being installed in the machine. So all these concepts we have discussed earlier, we have to ensure that we are basically applying those concepts in these machines that we are using every day. In the same way, the authentication mechanism and access control is also the key. So implementing like multiple factor authentication is also a key, because it will give you like multiple form of verification before granting some access to your devices. Because as we have discussed that normally the device has sensitive data, so we don't want these sensitive data to be compromised. In the same way, strict access control, like enforce like some strict access control policies to limit like users using the application, so which users are having what type of permissions. So user permission based on like role, minimizing the risk of unauthorized access. In the same way, the device pairing mechanism is also very helpful. So use secured like device pairing methods to establish the trust between the device and ensure that only authorized devices can access sensitive information. Data encryption. So the encrypted password, the stored password securely using the encryption to protect them from unauthorized access and potential breach. So we have already discussed earlier that we have to encrypt the sensitive data both during the transmission as well as while we store it on our devices. So this will safeguard our data against the eavesdropping and data thefts. In the same way, while we use the secure protocol, especially like when we are transporting the data, so at the transport layer, security needs to be implemented to secure data transfer, and we utilize like some device specific encryption method also to protect the stored data. Network security and secure connection is another key security practices that needs to be followed. So always use like secure connection, HTTPS, as we have discussed this earlier also, while we are browsing, accessing some website or some online resources. In the same way, when we are accessing some corporate network or maybe some free Wi-Fi network, so we have to use the VPN. So this will help protect the data transmitted over the internet from interception and unauthorized access. In the same way, we have to try to avoid the public Wi-Fi, but in case if there is an emergency, so normally we have to use the VPN to encrypt our data traffic and provide like a secure communication channel. Application security is also the key. So we have to ensure that we only installed applications and software from reputed source, such as official app store or some Google store or and so on. So this will basically minimize the risk of downloading some malicious software or some application that may compromise the security of your device. In the same way, the permissions management. So we have to regularly view and manage the application's permission to limit access to sensitive data and device features. This will ensure that the app only have the permission necessary for their functionality, reducing the potential attack surface. Device integrity and resilience. Again, this is a key security measures that needs to be used. So implementing like secure boot mechanism, which we just have discussed. So this will ensure that only authorized and verified software can run on the device during the startup. And this will help prevent the execution of malicious code and maintain the integrity of the operating system. In the same way, the tamper detection and device locking. So utilizing like tamper detection technology to identify some unauthorized physical access or modification of the device. Additionally, employing like device looking feature to scan the security of the device when not in use. In the same way, like protecting it from physical attack or maybe from unauthorized access needs to be implemented. So when we apply these principles to modern PDA, wearable tech or IoT devices, so these will help protect the sensitive information, maintain the user privacy, and prevent the unauthorized access in an increasingly connected world. So now let's see like what are the common threats normally being recorded in the PDA and similar devices. So the malware, direct attack, interception of PDA communication, spoofing, and interception authentication, physical compromise. So all these are the common threats that are being recorded related to the PDA security. So to address these risks, we have discussed many critical security measures. And once we apply these security measures like antivirus, malware protection, like personal firewall, data encryption, we have discussed. User education is also a key. I mean, we have to educate the user about the risk of downloading and opening some malicious file or link. In the same way, the password protection and data encryption on the device. So all these mechanism is the key to ensure that the PDA is secure. Now let's discuss our last topic, which is digital payment suraksha. So let's discuss what is digital payment suraksha. Suraksha means protection, right? So basically the Data Security Council of India, in collaboration with the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology and the Google India, they have launched an awareness campaign titled Digital Payment Suraksha. So this initiatives aim to educate the end users and merchants on essential security and safety practices for digital transactions. So throughout this campaign, users and merchants can learn about safe transactions methods, recognizing the fraud, what are the best practices for protecting personal and financial information in the digital space. So let's go through the digital payment suraksha, what is all about in more detail. So it's basically digital payment suraksha or security refers to like various measures, tools, and practices designed to secure online financial transaction from any fraud, theft, and unauthorized access. So, as we have experienced that digital payment grow in popularity, so with the rise of like internet banking, mobile wallet, and e-commerce, and safeguarding these transactions is crucial for preventing the financial loss and maintaining the trust. So digital payment system allows users to transfer electronically some financial funds via internet or mobile networks without using like cash or checks. So while this is very convenient, this system can be vulnerable to security threats, making it essential to ensure the protection of sensitive information like account number, personal identification number, and passwords. So let's discuss why the digital payment security is important. So financial security. So basically, it protects users from fraud, from theft, identity, or from financial loss. And data privacy. Why it is so important? Because we have to ensure that we have mechanism to safeguard sensitive data, sensitive information like maybe the bank details, maybe the personal data, maybe our history data of our bank transaction, and so on. Also, the digital payment security brings trust and confidence because it ensures that the users and the business can trust the digital payment platform. Now, let's discuss some of the common threats to digital payment. Here we are talking about a general concepts related to digital payment. So phishing attack is the most common type of attack that is being recorded for related to digital payment. And we have already discussed in phishing attack, it involves like tricking users into providing some sensitive information, maybe password, account number, by impersonating legitimate entities like banks and payment services. So, for example, an email may be, mimicking like it's a legitimate payment gateway to device user into the updating like some payment details or maybe on fraudulent website. So this is an example of such type. In the same way, another type of threat is the man in the middle attack. So hacker intercept like communication between the user and the payment system, allowing them to steal information and manipulate the transaction. So maybe an attacker intercept the communication between a user smartphone and an online payment app, capture the login credentials, and then use it for malicious act. In the same way, the malware and the ransomware attack is also being recorded. We have discussed it earlier. So malware include like a ransomware. So it can infect like a device and maybe steal some sensitive data such as credit card and login credentials and so on. And in case of ransomware, as we have learned earlier, that it normally encrypts like some important files, and then it asks user to pay for getting the decrypt key. And usually these are payment needs to be done in cryptocurrency. So some examples are being given here. So for example, a user downloads some mobile app and that is infected with some malware. So which then start like monitoring the logs and maybe the financial transactions that are being done by the user, and these are being used to act the malicious. Now the other type of threat related to digital payment is card not present fraud. So this card not present fraud refers to fraudulent transaction where a physical credit card or debit card is not required to complete the payment. Commonly occurs in an online, phone, or mail order transaction. So in the card not found, card not present, in fact, fraud, the attacker typically gain access to the card information such as maybe the card number, the expiration date, and the card verification value, and use it to make some unauthorized maybe purchase or transaction without the knowledge of the card holder. So some examples are being given here. So normally, like those customers that are frequently doing some transactions online, so in case if there is any site that they use to do some online transaction, if the data is breached on that site, so the credit card details will be exposed to the attacker, and then later the attacker may sold these data on the dark web, or may use it for doing some unauthorized transactions. In the same way, the same swap fraud is another type of fraud that is being recorded related to digital payment. So in the same swap fraud, typically the identity theft happens because here the fraudulent basically tricks the mobile service provider into like transferring the victim's phone number to a new SIM card that the attacker controlled. So this allowed the attacker to intercept like calls, messages, and authentication code intended for the victim. So this leads to unauthorized access to the sensitive accounts, including the bank account and the social media. So for example, an attacker may trick like a telecom service provider into transferring the user's phone number, intercept like on one-time password, and gain access to their online payment accounts. So this ends to our this session, and if we recall, in this week we have discussed many concepts that are really important for us to know and apply it in our real life. So we started discussing the concepts related to cybersecurity and attack. We have learned about the cybersecurity principles and different types of attack. We also have discussed various security threats. So understanding the different types of security threats such as phishing, ransomware, the denial of service is crucial for identifying and mitigating the risk. Also, we have discussed about the viruses and the malwares. So awareness of viruses and malwares, including like how they spread and the potential damage they can cause, underscore the importance of using like antiviruses and anti-malware software to protect the system. Thank you, and we'll see you in the next session.